Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Bold North Breakdown with Glen Ritter here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. This is my inaugural episode, and I've got some great things to talk to everybody about. Huge sports fan, and we're going to talk about the Vikings, the debacle in Detroit. We're going to talk about the upcoming wild card game against the Rams. We're going to talk about what to do next year at the quarterback position with Sam Darnold and J.J. McCarthy. Who do we start? Who do we keep? What do we do there? We'll talk about the Timberwolves. They're been up and down this year, but they're getting there. Playing a little bit better lately. We won a couple of games in a row. Talk about the Minnesota Wild. Having a great start to their season, dealing with some injuries right now, but really looking forward to seeing what they can do. Here, they've got a game tonight, and same with the Timberwolves, so we're going to be looking forward to that. And then we'll finish up with talking a little bit about the Twins. I know it's hot stove season, but I kind of refer to it since they're the Twins and refuse to spend money. It's kind of the warm stove. Not so much going on free agency here, but again, my name's Glen Ritter. Huge sports fan here in Minnesota. Love Minnesota sports. Been around sports all my life. Look forward to being here each and every week with all of our all of our fans. Anybody that wants to talk Minnesota sports, send me some messages. Love to hear from you, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun to talk about all of these great things going on this season. I think the Vikings have surprised a lot of teams, and it's going to be fun to really delve deep into all the things that have already taken place and seeing where we're going to be going after this after this weekend, because I don't think they're going to be losing. I think they've learned their lesson. They got a chance to deal with some adversity in Detroit, and I think they're going to get better from it. So looking forward to sharing and chatting with everybody on a weekly basis. We're going to be here every Thursday, 7:00. Really looking forward to all of these great discussions and talking about all kinds of sports. I'm going to talk about Minnesota Wild. I'll talk about college teams as well, whether it's the Gophers basketball team, volleyball team, football, anybody, right? So I'm going to be talking about all kinds of Minnesota sports, college, professional, heck, maybe even have my son on a future episode. Looking forward to that. He's as much of a sports fan as I am. He's a freshman at Minnesota State Mankato, and really looking forward to being part of the IE Sports radio team here. So that's kind of the agenda for today. Looking forward to sharing all of this with you, and it's gonna be a lot of fun. All right, we will head to but first, before I get started, again, this is the Bold North Breakdown with Glen Ritter here on IE Sports Radio.
IE Sports Radio fans, this show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, Single A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
rise and shine. It's 4 a.m. The stars are still out. The sun is beneath the horizon, but it's time to punch in and go to work. The comfort of your warm-ups turns into the grinding out of your reps as the clinking and the clanking of the plates create a symphony of euphoria. There's no other feeling like it. Earn it, burn it, and take what's yours. IE Sports Radio has proudly partnered with Vital Apparel, a brand that not only fits great, but also promotes and donates to mental health research. Use our code IESR to get 15% off their comfortable and inspiring gym wear and help them on their amazing journey to support mental health. Go hard, take part in your iron therapy, and be strong. Because when your mental health is as strong as you are, there's no telling how far you'll go.
Hey there, IE Sports Radio fans. Be sure to check out our sponsor, Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. You just finished your very own wedding or baby shower invitations and you're looking for that extra special touch? Maybe you just wrote a letter to a relative or a friend and you want to add to their smile when they receive it. Then seal the deal with Cecilia's handmade sealing wax stamps for your invitations, letters, and gifts. You bring the deal, we'll bring the seal. You can find them on Instagram at sealthedeal_wax stamps and on Facebook, Seal the Deal Wax Seals.
For the last 10 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Make sure to follow us at IE Sports Radio on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube to keep up with the latest in sports and with all of our shows. Also, make sure to check out our daily updated website at iesportsradio.com. At iesportsradio.com, you can see our daily show schedule and check out all of our show pages with personal bios to learn a little bit more about each of our awesome hosts. In addition to our show pages, you can catch the IE Sports Radio blog, Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month page, and our merchandise shop including t-shirts, tank tops, caps, long sleeves, hoodies, and more. For now over a decade here at IE Sports Radio, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans, and we thank you all for your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports.
All right. Welcome back. Thanks again for our sponsors, Planet Jerky, Vital Apparel, Seal the Deal Wax Sports. And again, of course, remember to like and subscribe. We are on X, formerly known as Twitter, Instagram, everywhere, right? And we got our own YouTube page. Again, remember, Bold Sports, Bold North Breakdown here on IE Sports, your direct feed for all that is sports. So again, thanks again for joining. Welcome back. Want to dive into A little bit more about myself, I guess. So again, huge sports fan, living here in Minnesota, right in the Twin Cities area. Have been a Vikings fan, Twins fan, Wild fan, but as long as they've been around. Well, not so much with the Twins and the Vikings. They started before I was born, but as long as I can remember, I've been fans of them. And same thing with the Twins and the Wild. I remember both of those franchises starting. Wanted to talk first, though, about the Minnesota Vikings, right? They are the king of the North here in Minnesota, and they've had a great season. Nobody thought that at the beginning of the season that the Vikings were going to be 14-3 at the end of the season. One celebrity superfan, Nick Swartzen, predicted it on a show, saying that the Vikings are going to go 15-2. Just a little bit off. Nobody thought it took him seriously. Personally, and I'm quite the eternal optimist, I had no thoughts of them ever going having a better record than 7-10 to start out the season. Didn't have a whole lot of faith in Sam Darnold, to be honest. When J.J. McCarthy, really excited about him. He had a great first preseason game. But knee injury happens. Young guy. So hand the reins over to Sam Darnold. Thought the schedule to start out the year was going to be rough. But they hung in there, won their first 5. And most people by the time they had their bye at week 6, thought the Vikings were going to be 1-4, maybe 2-3. Some thought 0-5. But instead they were 5-0. Have had a great season. Get to week 18 against Detroit, and it was just a debacle, to be honest. I was, as a Minnesota fan, we've been taught to be cautiously optimistic, be hopeful, but not necessarily expecting things to go our way. It just doesn't seem to ever go our way as a Minnesota sports fan. So it's always hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. And that game was definitely the worst. All of the things that had been going well for the Vikings all season long really fell apart during that game. And I was on with Christian from the Gritsville podcast last week, and I was optimistic. He was optimistic as well about his Detroit team, and he was right about Alex Anzalone. Anzalone was a great fit for their defense and definitely helped them out. I was more worried about, or I guess I was happier, not necessarily happy, that's not really the right term, but I was a little bit more optimistic about the Vikings' chances against the defense because Aleem McNeil was injured. And I know that the Vikings' offensive line does not, especially the interior of the offensive line, does not do well against athletic big men that can really disrupt the offensive line schemes. So that was that. So I was okay with Anzalone coming back. I guess I knew that he was a really good player. I've seen him in the past in other Vikings games. I watch every Vikings game there is, but he really was an impact player during the game. Sam Darnold got he was spooked. He seemed to be rushing all of his throws. He was having accuracy issues. I'm not sure if it was the playoff-like atmosphere of the game, but things just didn't go well. He was missing throws, missing some very easy throws. I remember there was one, with just a quick out to Jordan Addison at the goal line. And Jordan Addison was wide open, and he just didn't pull the trigger. He saw it, but he just didn't pull the trigger, and then they ended up having to try to go to Jefferson later, and it was an incomplete pass. So they were just couldn't finish in the red zone. They got some chunk plays. They had a Cam Akers 58-yard run that helped get them into scoring range. They had a interception by Ivan Pace Jr. that got them the ball at the 6-yard line, couldn't punch it in, couldn't do anything to really impact and help the team win. So that was unfortunate that happened. But the game happened. I kind of think that this is going to be a stepping stone for the Vikings, because it did scare me a bit when after seeing the rest of the games on Sunday, knowing that if the Vikings lost to Detroit, then they would be playing the Rams again, which were the two losses that the Vikings had during the regular season. They lost to Detroit, and then they had the Thursday night game against the Rams, and really struggled in that game. They had some injuries. I know Christian Darrisaw went down with a ACL injury, so then the Vikings had to play the second half with David Quesenberry as their starting left tackle, and he just isn't that kind of a player. He can be a solid swing tackle to back up and come in for a play or two if Brian O'Neill or Christian Darrisaw were to get hurt. This year now, as we're going to the wild card weekend, actually, before I get too far into that, I really want to just say that thoughts and prayers are with everybody in the LA area with the wildfire that's going on there. That is just an awful situation. And for those of you that haven't heard, there is a possibility of that the Vikings Rams game, which is scheduled for Monday evening, being moved to Arizona in Glensdale, I believe, for that game. So we'll see if that actually happens. I know the NFL is probably going to wait until probably tomorrow or Saturday to see how things are going, but eventually probably moving that game. So it's essentially going to be kind of a bit of a road game for both teams, but a little bit closer to LA. But we all know that. Well, I guess the Rams probably draw a little bit better than the Chargers do, but anyway, so that'll be, that's just what we're going to have to look forward to. And I really do think that Darnold is going to play better just because he kind of got that essentially playoff atmosphere game out of the way. So he's able to get rid of all of those jitters that he had being in the loud stadium at Ford Field. I mean, that place was just rocking. They were putting up, they were just so loud, even though the Vikings tried to, have a little bit of a home field feel to it by purchasing 1,900 tickets right behind the Vikings bench and selling them to Viking season ticket holders. I thought that was kind of a cool thing for the ownership group to do. But that didn't work. I mean, the rest of the stadium was just super loud. So I'm hoping that since it wasn't an elimination game, he got a chance to feel what the playoffs are like, because he's never been a starter in a playoff game. But I think that it's not, from everything I've heard from the local reporters here in the Minneapolis area, he's been calm. He's kind of washed that away. I think that everybody's a little bit more in line with, or just preparing, being able to take that time to prepare for the game. I think last time against the Rams, it was a short week. They didn't know that Puka Nacua was going to be playing for the Rams. So that I've heard this week that Brian Flores was caught off guard when Puka played, and he was a huge factor in that game. The Vikings really had a tough time slowing him down. So I have a lot of faith in Brian Flores. He's a fantastic defensive coordinator that I hope will stay with the Minnesota Vikings. I hope that I know he's going to get some head coaching interviews. I would love to see the Vikings just overpay to keep him as a defensive coordinator and an assistant head coach, and give Kevin O'Connell a new deal as well. Let those two just be the main coaches for the next several years, because they work really, really well together. I think they actually will ask and play off of each other's strengths. And so I know that Kevin O'Connell will ask Brian Flores, okay, how would you defend this particular set or this kind of a play? So then he can make some adjustments to the plays and play calling in different situations and vice versa. And I know that Brian Flores has asked Kevin O'Connell, okay, if we're in this defense, what are your keys? What are your tells? What are you looking for when you're calling a play in certain situations? And so he can disguise his defense, which is really good. But yeah, so I think it's going to be a great matchup. I do think that the Rams do have some very good talent. They've got some great young defensive players. They really reloaded in the draft this year with Jared Verse, Braden Fisk, Cameron Kitchens, one at each level of their defense. They got an outstanding defensive tackle or defensive end in Fisk. Jared Verse is a great pass rusher as an outside linebacker, and then Cameron Kitchens is a very good safety. I know that he had 3 or 4 interceptions on the year, and I believe they're pretty healthy. I know that the last time that the two teams played on that Thursday night game, everybody saw the missed face mask in the end zone when Darnold's head was whipped around, and a missed call, but those things happen. But I mean, it was a tough game. We were down by 8 at that point and inside their own 5-yard line. So to really drive down the length of the field would have been tough. Not impossible. Sam Darnold has shown this year that he can drive the team on long drives, the length of the field, and end up with touchdowns. As long as he's calm and not panicking in the pocket, keeping his feet, trusting his eyes. I know that's one of the things that Kevin O'Connell has mentioned at press conferences, is to just trust his eyes. When he sees it, let it fly. And I think that's going to be the key to them pulling out a win so that they can advance on to the next round of the playoffs. And like I said, I truly think that they will. And when speaking of Darnold, we all know he's signed a 1-year, $10 million contract to come play here. Initially, he was going to be the bridge quarterback and just start until JJ McCarthy was ready to step in. JJ was drafted to be the future of the franchise. And after that meniscus injury after the first preseason game against, I think it was against the Raiders, that he just, was shelved after that surgery. So we were pleasantly surprised with how Darnold has played. I think that, in my opinion, what I would do we'll see how this game goes, but if he performs anything like he has during the regular season, I would say that we should look at either giving him the franchise tag at about $41 million for next year, and potentially trade him to another team that would be able to give up some good draft capital, because I do think McCarthy would be ready to step in. He looked really good in that one preseason game he played. Granted, it was one preseason game, but still, I think that everything that they were seeing of him led them to believe he was going to be pretty good and be able to step in. I don't know if he would have done all of the things that Sam Darnold has done this year, to be honest, but I think he has the ability to do all of that. But we'll see. One other thing that with the quarterback room is Daniel Jones. The Vikings were able to sign him after the Giants released him. He was a 6th overall pick in his draft, so he definitely has some talent. He has a playoff win in the U.S. Bank Stadium, playing for the Giants. Knocking the Vikings out a couple of years ago. And it appears that he's been signed to the active roster now. So there's a possibility that he might be on the active roster or might be active for the game on Monday night. I think mainly that was being done to ensure that that the Vikings would receive a compensatory pick should he sign as a free agent in the offseason. Because I think if he's on the active roster, then that counts towards that calculation. Although there were some reporters talking asking Kevin O'Connell questions during his press conference this week, asking if there had any special plays or things like that in mind for Daniel Jones. And it sounds like Kevin O'Connell was kind of dodging the question. It's like, we're going to do everything we can to make sure that we're in the best position to win this game. So does that mean he's the backup to Darnold and would step in should Darnold get hurt? Or do they have special play packages to take advantage of his athleticism? He's a pretty good runner for a quarterback. I don't know. It sounds like there's some possibilities there, and it'll be definitely something to watch out for during the game on Monday night, wherever that game takes place. So, but the other option as far as Darnold goes that I could see them doing would be to sign him to a 2 or 3 year contract to be the starter for a few years while McCarthy continues to develop, kind of like the Packers have done with both Aaron Rodgers and Jordan Love. Kind of loses a little bit of luster though, because one of the big parts of having a rookie quarterback on a rookie draft deal or rookie deal is the cap savings. And being able to afford all kinds of other players like the 49ers have done with Brock Purdy, who's going to be, looks like, getting a huge contract extension. The thing about Darnold's potential extension is I don't know that he's going to want $50 million or $60 million a year to stay here, because I think he really enjoyed playing for Kevin O'Connell and playing for the Vikings. So I could see him potentially taking a discount just to stay here, because he's been in some really awful situations, both with the Jets and Carolina. They just didn't have the kind of talent around him. They didn't have the coaching and the support. I think everybody underestimates the impact and importance of a good culture when it comes to an NFL franchise, and how that can impact the way a player develops. There's a reason Sam Darnold was taken 3rd overall in his draft. And personally, I thought he should have been taken number 1 by Cleveland, but they went with Baker Mayfield instead. But that was my opinion based on the things that I had seen and read about heading up to that draft. Anyway, so, he's got the physical ability. There's always that question of the mental piece with him, but he's been able to really make some good throws during the regular season. But again, there's a difference between regular season and playoffs. So we'll see what happens there. So anyway, we are going to go to a quick break, and then we'll come back and talk some Timberwolves and the Minnesota Wild. We'll be back in a second.
What's up, everybody? This is Darren Rodriguez. Are you a fan of volleyball? Are you a fan of Thunder Spikes? Then I have the show for you, Set Point, where I cover NCAA men's and women's volleyball, high school boys and girls volleyball, beach volleyball, and even professional volleyball. Catch the action every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Sports fans, do you like teams that are tough, cities that are tougher, and fan bases that are passionate about their teams? How about teams that are historic and stadiums that are iconic? Then you belong in Chicago, and you need to check out Chi-Town Weekly. Join me, Adam Kernan, every week as we keep up with all things Chicago sports. Bears, Bulls, Blackhawks, Cubs, White Sox. We'll cover them all, plus more. The Windy City is always buzzing, and we'll keep you up on all the big games and major stories. So tune in to Chi-Town Weekly every week right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Welcome back, everybody. You are watching the Bold North Breakdown right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Again, wanted to talk about let's talk about the Timberwolves a little bit here and see where we're going to go. So right now, the Wolves are 19-17. They won the last two games. So I gotta get my notes ready. Sorry. Anyway, so they're in the 8th place in the Western Conference. Really disappointing start compared to the way that they played last year. The Wolves were fantastic last year, made it to the Western Conference Finals. Really excited. Week before the season started, they decided to make a trade Karl Anthony Towns for Julius Randle and Dante DiVincenzo and a first-round pick. We'll talk a little bit more about that trade here in a little bit. But the one thing that has been a little frustrating to watch has been the lack of offensive consistency with the team. They play well offensively when the ball moves around and doesn't get stuck in any one person's hands for very long. And so recently the Wolves made a lineup change. They sent Mike Conley to the bench and put Dante DiVincenzo into the starting lineup. Gives the Wolves a little bit better of a three-point shooter on the perimeter. I still don't like having both Julius Randle and Anthony Edwards on the bench together, on the floor together at the same time, because they both have a tendency of pounding the ball until it starts losing air. So I don't know if the referees have to check that every quarter or whatever, but the air pressure in the ball. But it just seems like those two tend to, especially Julius Randle, at least with Anthony Edwards, he's driving towards the hoop. He's trying to move around a little bit, and I think he's able to help find some people. Really draws a double team. But when Randall's got the ball and just kind of just pounding it, everybody else is standing around. And the way that the teams are going to be successful, or the team is going to be successful offensively, is by moving the ball around from side to side, inside, outside, letting guys hit those spot up jumpers. Dante DiVincenzo definitely plays better when he is in a catch and shoot position. He can drive a little bit and throw some alley-oops to Rudy. But Rudy needs to get the ball on occasion and be able to put him in a position to be successful. Everybody needs a little bit of that, right? So, and I think that the team has really relied on the 3-point shot, and sometimes, what's the best way to say it? Just not really shooting in rhythm. Just disjointed, I guess is the best way to say it, where people are just dribbling the ball, and defense is able to collapse on them, and then they're not finding the spot up jumper people on the perimeter. Because I think you've got guys like Nikhil Alexander-Walker, Jaden McDaniels is a decent 3-point shooter when he's again in the spot up shot from the corner. But and same thing with Dante's got a good, he's a very good catch and shoot 3 guy. Anthony Edwards has developed a pretty good 3-point shot. Again, as long as he's doing it in rhythm, he's a lot more successful. But again, I don't like seeing the team in 8th place. If it was me, I would probably try to trade Julius Randle. There's so many things that I've seen when I've been watching the games, whether it's his lack of interest in playing defense, especially early on in the season, was aggravating, where it was like just effort was missing. Since then, the team has been playing better defensively, which is good to see. But the offense has really struggled because, again, I don't think that the ball is moving around like it should. I also think, to me, if I was the coach, I would be having Randall come off the bench and starting Naz Reid. Naz Reid is a fantastic player. He gives 100% effort. He's really developed after being an undrafted free agent signing. He's been really good. He was 6th man of the year last year, and I think he deserves the chance to start now that Karl Anthony Towns is in New York. I'm not sure what the team would be able to get for Julius Randle, but and I don't know how well he would handle playing off the bench. But again, that's my that's what I would do if I, because I always like to think that I could run any team. I would, I would love to be a general manager for for any team, but that's not in the cards for me, and I'll trust the professionals. But because I think Tim Conley, as the president of basketball operations for the Timberwolves, has done a fantastic job. I know that this trade was somewhat money motivated because of the whole second apron with the salary cap and those kinds of things. So, it's a little aggravating with the with the salary cap thing and just being able to try and figure that out. And then we got the owner situation, which I don't know if I really want to get into that too much, but I can, where Glenn Taylor agreed to sell the team to the ownership group of Alex Rodriguez and Mark Lowry for $1.5 billion. Then last season, when it came time for that final payment, Glenn Taylor said, well, you guys didn't really live up to all your obligations when it came for the purchase agreement. Well, kind of what I took from that is like, well, it was more the fact that you found out that the franchise is actually worth about $3 billion as opposed to 1.5, and you're a little upset that you're missing out on that 1.5 billion. It's going to arbitration, hopefully, which I think they're supposed to. I think they're supposed to have some information for us here this month. Definitely talk more about that when that takes place. But like I said, I think that the Timberwolves have the talent to be a very, very difficult out in the playoffs. I think they're going to hopefully climb up the standings and not be in a play-in game situation. But we'll see what happens there. But yeah, and I feel bad for Mike Conley. He's consummate professional, having to go to the bench. But he's been having a down season. I don't know that it's age catching up with him, because he is the oldest player in the NBA. But he is a class act to have inside the locker room and around all these young players. Oh, and one other player that I really want to see get more minutes is Josh Minot. He's a 6'9" forward that is super athletic, plays good defense or solid defense anyway, and really has developed a nice 3-point shot and a jump shot and a super great dunker. Right, he's I think this is his 4th year with the team. Was a 2nd-round pick, just drafted purely on potential, and he's really worked hard to develop his game in the preseason. The summer league games and in the preseason, he really played pretty well. And so it's good to see him getting a shot, getting some minutes. I'd like to see him get a little bit more, but that's Chris Finch's call. But I think the more that you give him some minutes, I think the more that it's going to help everybody else on the team, because he's just young and eager to be out there and playing defense. One guy that I would like to see get some more time as well once he's healthy is Rob Dillingham. When they traded with the Spurs for the 8th pick to be able to draft him, and giving up an unconditional 1st-round pick in, was it 2031? I think was what the trade was. That was a huge. That's a huge risk. But he's just a really dynamic player. I really worry about injuries for him though, because he is already banged up, and because he is a pretty small guy. And I don't know how well he's going to be able to handle the physicality of the NBA, but he's quick as I don't know what kind of, anyway, I was thinking about a adjective to describe how quick he is, but quicker than a hiccup, maybe, I don't know, something like that. Anyway, so he's just a super quick guy, and can score in bunches. I'm not sure how well he would learn how well he would lead the offense, but having Connolly around to Mike Conley to help develop him and help teach him how to play point guard is going to be huge. I'd love to see where he goes in the next few years, because he's got all the talent in the world, and you see why the Timberwolves traded that pick to be able to get him. So really looking forward to seeing what he can do there. Let's see here. I'll look at my notes here real quick. Sorry, everybody. I think I'm just gonna hop into the Wild and talk about them. The Minnesota Wild have been they've been on a hot streak to start the year. They were at one point had the best record in the NHL. They were just playing fantastic to start the year. Then kind of the injury bug hit, and we had guys like Jake Middleton, who was playing as a defenseman, was playing fantastic. And actually I was watching that game, and when he got hurt, it was on the very first shift of the game. He got hit in the hand with a puck and broke his finger. And so he was out for, I think, at least 10 games. And the defense really was not the same without him out there. And then Matt Zuccarello, actually before Middleton got hurt, Matt Zuccarello got hurt, which I don't know if everybody knows this, but he was hit with a little bit of friendly fire. I think a slap shot from Brock Faber towards the net, and got hit below the belt and dented his nut cup, and actually had a ruptured testicle, which for all the guys listening, ouch, right? Anyway, so thankfully he is better now, and he's back playing again, which is fantastic, because he plays so well with Kirill Kaprizov. Those two are great together. However, unfortunately, Kirill is injured again now this year. He was, when you talk about a fast start, he was I think he was just the odds-on favorite to win the MVP this year, or the Hart Trophy. because he was just putting up so many points. I think even right now he has 23 goals and 27 assists through 37 games. And he has, right now the Wild are 26, 11, and 4. Good for 56 points. They're second in the Central Division, third in the West, and tied for fifth in the NHL, which after missing the playoffs last year, nobody thought was going to happen, right? Nobody thought that they were going to be in the playoff contention or anything like that. So they've been really playing very well until they really just the only thing has been the injuries that have kind of popped up. Looking before tonight's game, they're playing Colorado, and I think I just saw that they're down 2-1 at the end of the first period. The game started at 7:00. Let's see. Yeah, so right now for injuries, obviously they're missing Kirill Kaprizov, who, again, like I said, has 23 goals, 27 assists in 34 games. He's already missed 7 games, and again, is missing tonight's game, I believe, as well. And then for defensemen, Brock Faber is out, Jared Spurgeon, and Jonas Berdin, 3 of the top 4 defensemen for the team. So hopefully they can get some of those guys back, because I think both Faber and Brodin were injured in last night's or in their last game. And then Jared Spurgeon was hurt in the game against Nashville, taken down by a kind of a cheap shot. I don't know if everybody has seen that one, but it was a slew foot. I can't remember the guy's name for Nashville, but a really young guy, LaRue, I think maybe is his name. I think that's how it's pronounced, and just went sliding into the boards and just took his feet out from underneath him. Just a really cheap shot. And everybody that knows anything about hockey knows that was a really dangerous play. And again, went sliding into the boards. So it's been tough to do that and be to see that happen to your players, because that's one of the things that really hurt the team last year was all of the injuries. When you think about, last year, Jared Spurgeon missed in almost the entire year, and he is, while undersized, is one of the better defensemen in the NHL. But he missed almost the whole season last year. And so when he gets hurt again this year, you're thinking, oh my gosh, not this again, right? Anyway, so looking forward to seeing what happens when all of these guys get healthy again, because hopefully that will happen and it will take place. But you never know. And we really want to get Kirill Kaprizov back, because right now with all the other guys, they're having to kind of piecemeal the lineup together. Philip Gustafsson, the Gus Bus, has been outstanding this year. When he's got the good defenders in front of him. Last year he had a really down year, and there was some talk about potentially trading him in the offseason. Thankfully, he has worked really hard in the offseason, came in better shape, better mental health, and really was in the place where he needed to be mentally. And he's taken advantage of it. For a while, he had the best save percentage and goals against average in the entire NHL, which is fantastic. Love to see that happening. Hopefully, they'll get back to that, because I think his numbers have dropped a little bit since some of the defensemen were hurt again while Middleton was injured. That didn't help. And now, like I said, tonight, having 3 or 4 top defensemen out, having to fill in with young guys, Damon Hunt, trying to remember who else has been called up from the Iowa Wild team in the AHL. But, they're not Jonas Berdin. They're not Brock Faber. They're not Jared Spurgeon. So when they're having to really work around all of those injuries, it makes it a challenge. So, all right, well, let's take a quick break here, and we'll be back here in just a bit. Remember, again, you are listening to the Bold North Breakdown on IE Sports Radio, your home for all that is sports.
Hello, everyone. My name is Daryl Kinsey Jr., and I'm welcoming you to take another lap with the fastest show on IE Sports Radio. Yes, this is the Extra Mile with me and my co-hosts Christopher Lehman and Michael Ward. We talk everything racing from NASCAR to IndyCar to Formula One to limited hydroplanes, endurance racing, the NHRA, and more. So come join us for an hour of great racing talk and a lot of fun as well on the Extra Mile, Thursdays at 8 p.m. only on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hey sports fans, do you like wine? Well, we've got the show for you. This is Let's Wine About Sports, a show where we talk about wine and sports simultaneously. From the classic Cabernet Sauvignon all the way down to the grapes that you've never even heard of before. Oh yeah, we cover it all. And we'll talk about a little bit of sports as well. Football, hockey, collegiate, women's sports, it doesn't matter. We're going to talk about it all, and we're going to whine about it all. So join me Monday at 8 p.m. on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Welcome back to the Bold North Breakdown here on IE Sports, your home for all that is, for your direct feed for all that is sports. I'll get that right, Larry. Sorry. Anyway, again, welcome back. Just have a few minutes left. I really want to talk just real briefly about the Minnesota Twins. Everybody knows that this is the hot stove season, right? Where all the players are signing free agent contracts. And again, I kind of view this as the warm stove season here in Minnesota because we never do anything when it comes to free agency. So it's disappointing as a fan. In 2022, I was all over the Twins team. I was loving it. So excited. We had acquired Pablo Lopez to be one of our starting pitchers. He pitched fantastically. He was just a great starter. They had Sonny Gray as another starter. They had Joe Ryan. Had a nice, solid pitching rotation. And for anybody that knows baseball, the way you win is with pitching and defense. Then after the 2022 season, the owners of the group of the Twins, the Pohlad family, affectionately, they are referred to as kind of a pocket pinching group of owners. It was first Carl Pohlad bought the team from Calvin Griffith in the early 80s, which I remember because there was a really low payroll at that time. He took over bought the Twins. I was able to see and witness the 1987 World Series, the 91 World Series. It was a great time. We had Kirby Puckett, Kent Herbeck, Bert Blyleven, Frank Viola. There were so many great players at that time. And it was that's when I was growing up, and I loved baseball. And now to see after the 2022 season where they finally got over the hump and won a playoff series for the first time in 19 years or whatever it was. And to see the team and the ownership group refuse to try to replace Sonny Gray, who left in free agency. They made him a qualifying offer so that they'd get a draft pick for him, but that was it. You just had your best season ever, or best season in over 20 years or over 30 years, and didn't bother to spend any money on quality players. I mean, yeah, they brought in, they were able to bring in Correa as a stud shortstop. But like, again, pitching and defense, that's how you win. And it's been more than a little disappointing to experience as a Twins fan. They cut the payroll. They had to right size the payroll, which meant that they were cutting about $30 million off of what they had. I think they had a payroll of about $160 million in 2022. 2023 last year they were at, 2023 when they did well. Then 2024 they cut down to like $130 million. And at the end of the season, they're still sitting there going, well, because of the TV deal didn't go through or whatever. They had issues with Fox Sports North, which is now, I can't remember. It's a gambling site now, name. Anyway, whatever. It's the same people running it, but they just don't have the TV deal. And so now they're talking about, well, we need to cut some more payroll. Well, how much more are we going to cut? They signed a first baseman. I saw that come through on the news feed, and not somebody I'd ever heard of. First baseman that has about a 150 career batting average, playing for the Yankees. Again, not somebody I'd ever heard of, and not somebody I'm expecting to play. So, again, in my mind, the poll ads after this this season, they were like, okay, we're going to put the team up for sale. Thank you. Let's get that done. Because it's just, as a Minnesota sports fan, I feel like I try to support all of the teams, but the Twins really make it difficult. Thankfully, we've got the St. Paul Saints, who are the AAA affiliate of the Twins. And so my son Noah and I spend a lot more time going to those games than we do to the Twins. They have done some nice things when it comes to the draft. They've got Brooks Lee in the draft a few years ago, who's made it all the way up to the big league club. Then they drafted Walker Jenkins, one of the best prospects in all of baseball. We'll see how he develops and at what point we'll see him with the big league club. But I think he was just tearing through single A ball quite a bit this year. So, or this past year. So we'll see how that goes. Anyway, that's my show for tonight. Thanks all for coming out. Really had a lot of fun. Next Thursday, 7th Central again. Hopefully you can all come back out and check it out. But again, remember to check out all of those other pages that are here on the IE Sports Radio Network. Remember that they are, or IE Sports Radio is the home for, or the direct feed for all that is sport. Again, really looking forward to talking next week. We'll talk about the results of the Vikings playoff game against the Rams. Looks like it is official that game is going to be played in Arizona. I think I got that message in my comments here during this podcast. So we're going to see how well that game goes. We'll talk about it, win or lose. We're going to talk a lot about the Vikings. We'll talk about how the Timberwolves and and Wilds are where they're at that time. We'll see if there's anything else to talk about here in Minnesota sports-wise. So really looking forward to that. Definitely had a lot of fun here on my first episode. Hopefully you come back for number 2. Hopefully I'll improve my skills here a little bit. I'm still trying to work through all of the transitions and making sure that everything runs smoothly on the back end, so that you guys can have a great experience watching and listening to me talk and rant about all things Minnesota sports. All right, let's see here. We got a little bit more time, so yeah, I'm really looking forward to coming back. And as far as an update, looks like it's still 2-1. Colorado is leading. I haven't checked the Timberwolves game, but I will do that here on my phone as well. Let's take a look at that. All right, so as of right now in the fourth quarter, the Wolves are up 84-64 over the Orlando Magic, who are dealing with some major injuries. Paulo Banchero has been out for a couple of months, and I think Franz Wagner was injured as well too. So definitely looking forward to seeing some of the highlights that I missed from those games tonight, and I'll talk a lot more about that next week when I'm back on the air. So again, looking forward to seeing you all again. Thanks so much. Again, remember, you're listening to the Bold North Breakdown right here on IE Sports, your direct feed for all that is sport. Have a great week, guys.